So these are a pair of slippers I had. They look pretty okay, but not so much. They are totally come apart at the bottom. Here it's just a mess. And the inside isn't much better. So I'm going to be making a pair of new ones. This is a pattern piece I previously made for the sole of the shoe. It's been drawn for my own foot, of course, a right and left side. This piece has added seam allowance. The thick paper pieces are the original pattern. I have modified the shaft piece so it isn't as high as it was before. For the soles I need 2 pieces of felt and 2 pieces of cotton batting for each boot. Additionally, 1 piece of thick interfacing for each sole. I'm using a pair of old jeans that I long since can't fit into as the final piece for the sole. Then I'm attaching the interfacing to the jeans piece. The felt and batting pieces get whip stitched together. It helps keeping everything together during the wash. For the fashionable outer layer, I'm using a sturdy woven cotton. This will give the boot a decent stability without having to use interfacing. For lining, I'm using a regular, softer woven cotton. The shaft pieces are cut on a fold to eliminate an additional seam. A good idea is to pin the layers together before you cut, so they don't move around on you. Step and repeat for the lining as well. So back to the soles. I am pinning and then I'm going to be sewing the layers together. They will be sewn together with the wrong sides facing each other, so the interfacing is sandwiched in between. I will be sewing with 1 cm seam allowance. It will be left open at the toes so I can insert the felt and padding piece inside. Once the padded piece has been inserted, it will be sewn up at the toes. Then I will be doing a piercing hand stitch to secure the padding inside of the sole. Then the boot pieces gets attached, the top of foot with the shaft. Repeat for the lining. As the seam curved over the foot, I had to notch it. Once ironed, the back seam gets stitched together, with the right sides facing each other. Then the fashion layer and the lining layer get stitched together at the bottom. A small demonstration on how things will be attached. The stiff interfacing piece is towards the floor, and then you place the shaft on top. Of course, it'll be stitched together wrong sides together. I was using a 1 cm seam allowance, of course. Then I attached the bias binding to the sole seam allowance. And naturally I realized that I put it in the wrong direction for how I do my hand sewing. That is quickly adjusted though. I first sewed on with a small back stitch. Once that was done, the bias binding was flipped and the other side was felled down with tiny stitches. Then stuffing the boot with polyfill for a thick, cozy boot. I've added a couple of pins to keep the filling even. And lastly, a bit of bias binding what's attached to the top, hand sewn of course. And finally turning the boot right side out. It was a little tricky,